Just think of it as the rough draft of the podcast world. This is the Newbie Writers Podcast with your hosts Damien Both and Catherine Bramkamp.
Hey, this is episode 177 of the Newbie Writers Podcast, and Catherine's actually in France, talking to arrogant people and baguettes. I don't know. I think she's in France, somewhere like that, in the romantic city of Paris. So I have Dion filling in. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm all right. How are you, though?
I'm okay. I'm not in France, so I'm not as good as Catherine.
No, you wouldn't want to go there anyway.
Why? I've been there. It's very nice.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I don't do holidays. I don't see the point.
Grumble bum.
Hey?
Grumble bum.
Oh yeah, come on, think about it. What a pain in the neck. You got to try and organise everything and then pretend to be nice to each other while you're away in another country. Just can't do it. Anyway, so instead, I thought we got rid of one Catherine and we've recruited another. I've got Catherine.
Hello.
Yes, I've got Catherine Grubb.
Hello.
Good morning. Because I did say that to Catherine last week. I'm kind of glad that she's away because it would just be too confusing if she was on this show. I'd ask a question, say, "Now, Catherine," and I'd get stereo responses. Yes. So anyway, now we've got you on because you've made a claim and you've written a book. How to write a book in 10 minutes, or write a novel?
Yes. Write a novel in 10 minutes a day.
Yeah, see, that's the disclaimer.
Right.
Right.
Because a novel in 10 minutes is not a novel; it's a poem.
But this is true. And then you just pissed off all the poets. You go, I spent hours
That's
on
right.
that. Mm.
Yeah, no. That's not a very good poem, but it's a poem.
Well, it's more of a limerick. Actually, I was looking at limericks the other day. Some people were sending me limericks after I said one on the show. It was very good. It killed heaps of time. More than 10 minutes. How did you come up with this concept? What pushed you to go, look, I've only got 10 minutes. I'm going to write a novel. Well,
I've always wanted to write. And since I was a small child, and I had when I was growing up in school, I had a few opportunities. I'm an American, and I live now in Massachusetts, but I grew up in a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so I was in high school journalism classes and yearbook classes, and I went away to the University of Oklahoma to study journalism and professional writing. But I didn't do very well, and just adolescent angst, more than likely. And then, then I met my husband on America Online in 1995, and that's what moved me to Massachusetts. And then I had 5 children in less than 8 years.
Oh my word!
Oh my goodness!
Yes, and so and so, but I still wanted to write, and I wanted to. There was something in me. I was clearly. Through having children. And I was like, well, what else is there in life than just cleaning messes and telling little stories about a rabbit when they're taking their bath? And, I enjoyed being creative with them, but I wanted my creativity to be more. And I clearly didn't have very much time. So I decided I would make time. And I knew if I waited until I had 2 or 3 hour blocks, or I had my own isolated cabin in the woods, or I had, a perfect office, that time would never come. I need to take advantage of it now. So I went to my local library and got all the books on fiction writing I could find. And I read about how to write a novel, but it didn't give me any clues how to manage my time, or where to start, or how to organize my thought process. So I just decided I would set a timer for 10 minutes on my microwave. And my computer was in my kitchen, and I would focus on my writing goals in 10-minute increments. And when the timer would ding, then I would go be a mommy for 10 minutes.
Wow.
Some days I could do that. I had 1 10-minute increment, all day. Some days I had a lot more, though, depending on how fewer fires I had to put out, or chaos, or whatever. And so I tried to train my children, and at the time the youngest was only months old. I just trained them to, when I'm sitting at my computer, don't talk to me, don't ask me questions. You can handle self-control for 10 minutes. You can occupy yourselves for 10 minutes. Just give me this little increment. and then you can hear the timer well too, and then when it dings, then you can approach me. And it was not pretty. It was kind of messy, and it was a learning experience for all of us. But it got to where that I could do 10 minutes several times a day. And sometimes I got as many as 6 10-minute increments in a day. That's an hour. Now, where was I going to find an hour anywhere else?
Well.
And so I wrote a homeschooling curriculum, and then I started my novel. And it took me 5 years of 10-minute increments here and there, off and on, before I had a complete novel.
Wow.
And I thought, and when I started, I decided also to blog about it. And I called my blog 10-Minute Writer. And it was basically the ups and downs of trying to do this, because it really was messy. It was not a perfect system. What I was learning about myself, what I was learning about the writing process, how I even cooked, managed my household differently in 10-minute chunks, because when you have 10 minutes to clean a bathroom, you do a really good job really fast. When you have 10 minutes to make, prep for dinner, you're thinking shortcuts and how to make things work for you. And then I was delegating more responsibility to my children. And I blogged all about this. And so in 2013, in 2012 I wrote a new book, and it was a romance. And it kind of hit, it was called Falling for Your Madness. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. And I had the whole story in my head, like over the course of a weekend. And I just sat down and I wrote it, and I didn't really stop for about 6 weeks. I didn't use the 10-minute method because I couldn't get away from the story to write. My children hate this part of the story because they're like, we lost you and you didn't pay any attention to us and we had to make our own meals. It was terrible. Well, I didn't sleep, and I didn't eat. All I did was write this book.
Wow.
I self-published that in December of 2012. And then in 2013, I entered it into the Amazon Breakthrough Novel Award contest. They hold it every year. It's kind of like the American Idol for writers, or the America's Got Talent. It's like one of those big to-dos.
Yeah.
And they stop taking entries at 10,000.
Right.
Okay. So I submitted it, and I really didn't think that much about it, because I thought, well, everybody's doing this. And I made the first round of cuts pretty easily. And it just like, I maybe should pay attention to this. And then I made the second round of cuts. Like, okay. Then I got as far as the quarterfinalists with
That's
Falling for
exciting.
Madness, which meant I was in the top 5 of the romances in the 5 categories. I was in the top 25.
That's
Well, I was
exciting.
really excited about that. I didn't win. I didn't go any further, and that's fine. And I put it on my blog about how excited this was, that I'd made all this great progress and dream come true type of thing. That very week, because I mentioned my success on this, and I think this is what happened. I'm not 100% sure. But I think that the publishing company Hodder and Stoughton, that's out of the UK, did a search on me, 10-minute writer, or write a novel in 10 minutes or something. And they find my blog posts, and they find me, going crazy about my success in the contest. They sent me an email. This all happened in the same week. The quarterfinalist of the ABNA and this email, and it was the week before my birthday. And they said, we want to publish a book called Write a Novel in 10 Minutes a Day. Would you be interested in writing it for us?
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, I would. And so I didn't say that. I was trying to be a professional. So I just said, please tell me more. And then I said send, and then I went crazy and danced around my house for about an hour and a half. And I realized this was a real contract. I would have to give an agent. I didn't have that. And I had been trying to learn all I could about agents and about what was required and what type of people I was looking to represent me, who I really was as a writer. And I picked 3. My top 3, if something would happen, those are the people I would go to first. I sent them all an email that night, and I said, bloggers, dreams come true. I think I have a book contract. What do I do now? And so one of them didn't even answer me at all. And the second one asked me a couple of questions, and then she kind of dropped the ball, didn't return my email. And the third one said, well, you can say yes and take the contract and negotiate it yourself if you think you can handle a 27-page contract. I said, I think I need an agent. And then he said, okay, well, tell them then that you're and this was Chip McGregor of McGregor Literary. He said, tell them you're represented by McGregor Literary and have them contact me next week. So the following week, the negotiations started, and I signed with McGregor Literary. Chip got more money for me,
Yeah.
and I had a contract. And so, that it took a while for the negotiations and the contract, several months actually, before you don't really start writing anything until you actually have the check in your hands. And as much fun as signing the contract is, holding the check is more fun. I just have to say.
No, hang on. Banking the check is more fun.
Banking a check. I have to tell you this. I needed a new computer really badly. And my husband's an Apple guy, and I decided that when the time came, I would get a MacBook Air. I got the check in the mail. I texted him, and I said, the check is here. And he had picked up my computer. He bought it, picked it up, and had it already loaded with all the stuff before I deposited the check.
What a nice.
Yeah.
I've got a
and then-
He's a
MacBook
Mac,
Pro.
he's a
and
Mac
I
guy.
have
He's a
to-
Mac guy. Yeah,
Well,
it's
I'm a
awesome.
Mac person. I have the saying, and probably everyone says this, is once you have a Mac, you never go back.
Oh yes, absolutely. We have Apple. You know how people, I don't know if they do this in Australia, but in the United States, people have stickers on the back of their cars that just distinguish their children, their family.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like you'll
yes. I
Yes,
hate
okay.
those stickers.
Okay.
Oh,
At our house, we have 2 big apples and 5 little apples.
Oh my god.
That's cute. The only
It's like-
ones I condone are the zombie ones or the apple ones. There you go.
Right. Well, we have apples, and so they're really cool. We're cooler than any of stick people.
I condone the stick figure one where it's just the couple and they're doing something really filthy and it says "making my family."
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Anyway, let's wind it back.
Anyway,
Let's wind it back to the 10-minute
Yeah.
thing. How do you focus down? I know you said you sort of set aside a weekend once to do the romance novel, which I'm also curious about. How do you get into a romantic frame of mind when you've got 5 kids screaming at each other in the hallway and the sound of Peppa Pig in the background on the TV?
It's really difficult. It really is. I don't know how I did it. And some days it was easy. They understood and they did what they were told to do, and we, but then sometimes it wasn't easy, and I had a hard time shifting sometimes from story to dishes or back again. And it was not a smooth thing. Don't think that it was, because I had to work at it. And more than once, probably more times than I can count. The timer had been going off for 10 minutes, and I never heard it. And there's something on the stove burning, and there's somebody tugging at my sleeve saying, "Mommy, when are you gonna do it?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I will get you there. Hang on, one more sentence."
Did you plan things out though to sort of try and make the most of the 10 minutes when you're actually writing? I'm just sort of thinking of, if I try and write, I find myself sitting there for 10 minutes going, now I've got to pick up that thread again.
That's tough, and I had to train myself to always be as organized as I could. And I always had my files open on my computer, so I didn't waste time digging things around. I tried to have a plan. Like today would be that scene, where this is from the romance, where David is coming to the Halloween party and nobody knows what's going on, and Laura is confused because he's late. So that's like the objective of. I knew the objective of the 10 minutes very clearly. And even if I didn't, I would just free write for 10 minutes. And then the next 10-minute section, I'd probably get a better handle on it.
Did you ever cheat? Did you have, I don't know, one of your kids comes in screaming, going, "Oh, my sister punched me in the face." And you're like, "Oh, God's sake." And you pause it and you go and deal with that, because let's be honest, it happens all the time.
Oh, yes.
And then did you say, right, well, I didn't really get I only got 5 minutes then, so I'm going to start the 10 minutes again now.
Oh, yeah. I do that all the time.
Right.
Or I'd forget to set the timer. That happens to me even now. I just forget to set it, and I think I did in my head, and then I'm going and going and going and going, and realize 45 minutes have gone by, like, oh, okay. And then I just go, I might wash dishes for 10 and then go back to, I cheated. Oh, yeah. I mean, part of it is you have to be flexible. This was a flexible system because my priority is my family. As much as I love writing, I have to be flexible. I don't know if you guys know this, but children are not very predictable.
Yes, well,
So we have to work that out, and it wasn't perfect, but I thought this is what I thought. I thought something is better than nothing. And also I also found that I want my kids to watch me do this. And I struggled a lot with of fear. And I grew up in an abusive home. I didn't have a lot of emotional support from my dreams. And I wanted them to see me conquer it. And so instead of putting it off until I'm retired or they're out of the house, they won't see that. They won't see me struggle or organize the house or delegate the cleaning or whatever. I need them to be engaged with it. And we talked about my stories, and I need an idea for this, and they were happy to help. Or let's name this character with me. And I didn't always use their ideas, but they have kind of like a little built-in support system. This is the best thing about having a big family, is that we are this. I have my own little cheering section constantly. In fact, my children left to go on an event at their church tonight, and they took an apples to apples game, and one of the cards fell out, and my daughter, who's 17, picked it up, and she said, "This is for you," and it was the powerful card. She says, "This is you, Mommy," and powerful. And it's like this whole culture we have of supporting each other. They're going to have their passions, and I want to support them in them. And so we get to do this together. And so it's really made it fun.
Well, my boy was supporting my mother the other day because she rang in and they've got some grandparents' day thing coming up. And my son says to her, "Nan, you can bring a friend if you like." And my mum's gone, "Well, I don't have many friends, Julian."
Oh.
my son says, "Well, that's all right. I'll bring some."
No, there you go.
You can have some of mine.
Children. But yeah. When you felt like it was complete after the 5 years of 10-minute intervals, did you read it as a whole, and did you notice that in any spots it was a bit disjointed? Like where you had your 10-minute chunks. How do you tie that in together without it sort of seeming like, oh, there's one page and then there's another page sort of thing?
I don't remember thinking that. I remember finding plenty of other mistakes, but not necessarily that it was just clear frames of mind, like, oh, that was that day when things were going well, and that was that day when things. I didn't really see it. Maybe it was because I didn't know what I was doing in the first book, and I would create a chapter and polish it the death out of it before I ever moved on. And then move to the next chapter. And then when I read it from whole, they're pretty good shape, by the time I had a whole book. But in 5 years, my goodness, I knew that story inside out and backwards. I was probably 3.5 years into it before I realized a major plot point. I didn't have an ending for like 3.5 years because I really didn't know what I was doing. And so when I got the contract for the book, write a novel in 10 minutes a day, I had to have a plan. I'm going to be teaching people how to do this. I didn't have I didn't have a method. I had a mess is what I had. And so I can't really say that in a book. They paid me a lot of money. I got to be a little more professional than that. And so I had to come up with, so in the book, it's broken down to, you have 10 minutes. What do you do with your first 10 minutes? Well, your first 10 minutes, you talk about your expectations and what 10 minutes can do for you. And then there's a time you spend. A couple of the exercises in the beginning are organizing your time, finding your space that you work, getting your files connected, because you want to make this as smooth a transition as possible when you sit down. And then you spend time, your own ambitions, trying to clarifying, what does it mean? I didn't know what kind of writer I wanted to be. And I'm still kind of figuring that out to this day. I know there's going to be comedy involved, but I don't know if it's going to be a mystery or a romance or something else. And so that's okay. So we spend a lot of time just thinking about your goals. And then when that's worked out, you even talk about some of the forces of darkness and the resistance that's keeping you back and addressing that. And then we start big picture, story. What is a story? And then moving down into more specifics like genre and your plot and your characters. And then you have it's clearly outlined and everything's well organized so that when you start, you've been spending days and days and days, perhaps months, before you ever get to the drafting process through the exercises in the book.
Did you ever have it where you just opened up the laptop and thought, or the computer, and go, nah, it's blank?
Oh, yeah.
I had this happen to me the other day. I had 3 hours to kill. And I thought, excellent. I'm sitting here, no internet, because I was having my van serviced, and I thought, cool, I can write. I've done it once before. Smashed out like 3,000 words. It was great. And I opened it up, and my brain, all I could hear in my head was... and I reread, read back on what I'd written previously, a couple of chapters or whatever. And normally that's enough for me to go, yeah, that's where I was. I got to the end and went, that's lovely. And I couldn't move on. And I then thought, I know, I'll try and write something else. And it was so forced. I only got through half a page in about...
But you know what? You might find that even though it felt forced, because when I was on a deadline to finish my last book, I thought, I'm going to have to make myself write. And I would start off, and even the days that felt forced and I didn't write as much, the writing was still good. Like, the story was still there, and it's, even though it doesn't feel like it's organic, it still doesn't mean it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I know, but because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like Catherine, I just feel my way in the dark. I try and keep it fairly consistent. So I finished in this scene, what was going to be the next thing? But yeah, it just didn't happen. And I find
sometimes you could have a trigger. Like the other night I was at acting class, and we had to put on a play. The teacher said, okay, you have to do this, and so we had to get it together, and I was the writer of the group, so I wrote the introduction, but everyone was making noise discussing what the hell they were doing, and I had my iPod, thank goodness, and I put that in, and as soon as the music was on, that was it. It was a good trigger, and I sat down and I wrote a couple of sentences straight away. So you might find maybe music helps, because you're not like Catherine's saying, you've got your setting where you're sitting and you've got it all set up, so I guess your body goes, okay, well, I'm in this little spot now, and your head's like, okay, this is where I'm writing, but you're in your van.
Well,
which is different.
that makes that sound creepy. Actually, you're in your van.
Well, not in your van. You're waiting for your van in the waiting room.
Get in my van. But I was in a waiting room in a car dealership, which is bizarre. And
it's probably a little bit noisy too. Like I said, I find the iPod's good because it shuts everything else out too.
Well, to be fair, they did have the TV on with those morning TV shows, which just drive me up the wall. No one should be that happy at any time before midday. And
well, they're getting paid lots of money. Of course they're happy.
Yeah, right. Couldn't pay me enough. And there was also a lady sitting next to me that had bright fluoro yellow shoes. It was really distracting. And
bad taste.
Yes, well.
Sorry to anyone out there who has bright yellow fluoro shoes, but I'm sorry you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Send the complaints into podcast at Newbie Writers. I'll forward them to Dion.
So, Catherine, how do you find the authors are responding to the book?
Actually, I have some really good response. Even people who are experienced authors are finding that the book was thorough. And one I went to my reviews today because I was lifting a quote for something else, and they call it exhaustive, which for a 60,000 word book is a compliment. So I tried to hit all of the conceivable issues that you're going to have in writing. And I was looking at, I've got a lot of positive response, and so I've been pleased. I lead a group on Facebook called 10-Minute Novelists, and we spent a lot of time talking about making the most of your time or in your busy life, and they've all been very excited and generous with the things that we've been talking about. And it's hard. That's why I bring this up in the book. And the famous writers we think of are all ones that had, these idyllic situations. And, like Samuel Taylor Coleridge, was living all by himself, and he was trying to write Kubla Khan, and somebody interrupted him. Somebody brought a package by and disrupted him for a full hour. And Kubla Khan was never complete the way he wanted it. And part of me is like,
hang on. No,
but part of me is like, I just want to slap him because he didn't have kids running around and the things he had to do to his van.
How can 1 hour out of your day stop you from completing it? How you want a load of crap, please.
I know. So it's like, I think, we have a new challenge in our generation of writers because this is not our primary occupation. No. And so if we're going to pursue our dreams, then we have to work at it, and we have to carve bits and pieces of time. If you are a fast typist, you can type around 500 to 600 words in 10 minutes. And that's assuming you have an idea and you have something to say.
Well, Yeah, you need
Even if
to
you've got
have
a
an
slow,
idea.
right? But even if you're a slow typist and you're sitting in the waiting room waiting for your van to be serviced, and you see the obnoxious yellow shoes, you could just concentrate on those yellow shoes, even though they have no bearing on what you're intending to do, and you just describe them for 10 minutes. Something's going to click. You're going to go off on some sort of tangent, and then you go, now I feel it. Now we're into the groove. And then you just cut out the part that had to do with the shoes, you know? So,
Yes, but then I don't have a filter.
No,
And-
but it's habit. It's habit, I think, is the point, because Catherine was in the habit of switching on for 10 minutes a day, and that's why when I put my iPod in the other night, bang, I switched on straight away, because I was used to, when I had to meet my deadline, I had to sit down and force it, like you were saying, Damien. But if you do that enough, it becomes an automatic switch.
Yes.
Yes.
Whereas I would have just said to the lady, seriously, do you have Tourette's?
well, you know, I like the idea of a free write where you write everything that comes to your mind and you don't self-edit, and you just put down every conceivable color or texture or what you see in front of you, and just get it, it's in my when I'm stuck and I'm free writing, my goal is quantity, not quality, because if I can really get 400 or 500 words down, there's going to be a little pocket of gold there somewhere.
Yeah, there needs to be something that's hidden, you would think.
Yes. And, and then something has sparked my subconscious. I've got it down. I'm going, oh, yeah, I'm going there. But even if you had to spend 45 minutes and you just did nothing for 45 minutes and you typed any random thought or anything that passed before your eyes, it wouldn't be wasted. Because I think it's good for our minds and it's good for our discipline just to sod through it. I mean, if we wait till the inspiration strikes, I don't know whether I think we're setting ourselves up for failure. If we go and we work and say, hey, inspiration, get your butt over here. I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
and then it just, oh, okay, I'll join you now. So I think that's
true though. Because there's a lot of writers, or they're not quite writers, because all they do is talk about writing. They don't actually do it. Like you said, they're waiting for some magic thing to happen where they're going to be able to sit down and just write and write and write, and it's going to be perfect, and that's never going to happen.
Why not?
No, and that's what the editing process is for. The writing and the creative part is supposed to be messy. Hemingway's got that famous quote about first drafts being excrement. Yes. Let's just embrace that.
Yeah.
But the thing, you get a stable full of that. Somewhere deep down in their side, there's a pony. Let's get it all there. So we'll find it. There's value in that.
Yeah.
And I think it makes us better writers if we're not afraid in the initial processes, just to be really, really free.
But that's like you've just hit the nail on the head. Is afraid. The blank page used to scare the crap out of me. Like when you're just about to start something and you've got your first blank page on the screen. Now it doesn't bother me, but it used to scare the hell out of me. But now I know, hey, if I really want to write, it'll be there.
Yeah. There's go through drafts, play around with words, write any little thought, something's going to click, and you're like, okay, well, at least I've got this, and then build on that. And I like starting with the metaphor. Something's going to a metaphor. What is the metaphor for this particular thing that's happening right now? And then I think, well, maybe if I just drove that metaphor to the ground, and what would happen? And like, oh, sometimes there's a lot of magic there.
I'm just wondering.
And it depends on what it is you're doing, what your purpose is, too. So
I'm just thinking, you've got write a novel in 10 minutes a day. I reckon I could do a similar book, but
of course you can.
It'd be titled differently. I think I would write a novel while pooping.
Oh, Damien.
No, because you get. Oh, I'll leave that alone. But it's quiet, unless
Well, sure you could.
Or is that like you want to write it on a piece of paper because you don't think you're good enough, you'll just use that?
Just flush it, yeah.
Well, there's that. I don't know whether that's what Hemingway was talking about, though.
Oh, right. This is what that's what triggered it, really, to be honest.
But did he supposedly write when he was drunk?
Who?
Well, yes. Well, they all say that. Yeah. Well, I have this joke with my writers group about, the Hemingway path to freedom is paved with whiskey and cigarettes and a really, really sordid lifestyle. So if it doesn't work out for us, we could try that.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
There is there is a downside though to, having a book out that explains, how to do things, writing a novel, is that your comments, your feedback on Amazon is like the longest comments I've ever read, because you've got writers reading books on how to write and then leaving these long-winded comments. It's actually quite comical to read.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
I should get people who don't write, like my brother or my mom or something. It's just like, that's thumbs up,
Yeah. I just okay. For example, there's one, and you've got like 5-star reviews, amazing reviews. But there's one here. There's 3. It's like a page long, but this one paragraph is. Having neither husband nor someone else financially supporting me, nor a view of the Hudson River from my living room, nor domestic help, nor even a child. Although that distraction I would welcome. I had a hard time. And it goes on and on and on to get to the bottom going, this book was amazing. God. They're all like that. It's funny.
Well, they are funny. Those were preview readers. So that means that they were people that I contacted early in the around the publication date and asked them to review for me. So they knew it was coming and they had time to do that. So
it doesn't matter.
I know that's fact. Help me out.
Yes, but
and I'd just like to say hello, because after all that hassle of trying to post something on Facebook, I finally got it there to say, hey, we're doing the podcast live, and Nadia's listening. So hi, Nadia.
Hello, Nadia.
Hi, Nadia.
Is she in the chat?
She said it's hilarious and helpful so far. So there you go.
Well, good.
Well, I'm certainly not the helpful bit, I don't think.
And I don't even know if you're the hilarious bit, to be honest.
I don't think so either.
Oh.
I just push the buttons, apparently.
Whose buttons, though?
Don't make me push yours. I heard the yelling this morning. Now, I've got some extra notes here that Catherine's put in. About character development. I don't know why she's focused on this. I think she's having trouble focusing on her character development.
It's for herself, is it?
It always is. You can tell. There's like the whole general sort of notes. And then there's a bit going, talk to us about character development. I don't know why. There's a blog post, I think. And she's got things like, give them a chronic disease.
Yeah.
Actually, something I found interesting, I read...
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say a blog post on your blog that said keep things, like introduce things as you go, and then maybe like with a plot twist, but maybe write half the book and then say the character's blind. I'm not sure I quite agree with that.
Yeah.
The point is that if you're stuck, those were all suggestions that if you're stuck and you want 3-dimensional characters. That's what everybody wants. Yes. And so those are just examples of how you could do that. And there's lots of other ways. I mean, I know people, you probably know people in your life that have got chronic diseases and it shapes who they are. Mm. And so, it's one thing to have a romance, but it's another to have a romance where somebody's got a chronic disease. That makes everything more interesting. And so is it, it's just a suggestion. Is it something that would be organic to your vision of your story? And is it something that would add depth and something that you would get excited about? Because you don't want to write something that's too hard or too scary or too forced. But if it's just like, oh, yes, what if I did do that? And like, it makes everything clearer in a way. Sometimes that's all it takes for you to really do the muse.
You could make it comical though. Like if you've got the person that's on the watchtower to make sure they're not being invaded. And they talk about he scanned the horizon, blah, blah. And then it's like, what are you doing up here? You're blind.
That is funny. Yes, that is sounds great. I'm all for comedy.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I think actually Dion asked me, because I'd sent her a bit of my work. She said, "Are you trying to write a comedy?" I like that. You trying?
I did that once. I wrote my first book is a comedy. I love writing comedy, and so I have these great one-liners. I love writing one-liners, and I entered it in this national contest, and I got my results back. And the first thing the judge said was, "Is this supposed to be funny?" And I was just like, "Yes." And so, this is the thing about humor. It's subjective, and it's just one of these very fine sub-parts of the art that we love, and some people are going to get it and some people aren't.
As long as the authors know that going in, because I wrote a comedy and I was writing it thinking, well, you know what, maybe nobody gets my sense of humor and it's going to be a flop. So as long as you know it, it's okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is why writer community is really important, because if you've got a good group of people around you who you trust and who have some skills, you don't want blood relatives who are there whose notoriety is that they read a book once. No, you want people who really are versed in the terminology and the purpose of good writing, good fiction writing. And then when you hand them your comedy, and you can say, "Tell me honestly," and they will, and what is good. And when I submit to my beta readers and my comedies, it's like, I want you to tell me where you laughed. And they surprise me. Sometimes they laugh at things that I didn't think was that funny, but overall they like it. It's not like they think I'm stupid, because then they wouldn't be my friend anymore, and I would never ever call them again. Yeah. So but it's one of those things. I have an audience for my comedy that's entirely different from the audience of my nonfiction. My agent likes my nonfiction. He's like crazy about my comedy. Okay, that's the beauty of independent publishing, which is a whole other can of worms, but you can do whatever you want, and we've got this beautiful way to build readership in our community, and to if my story works and there's nothing wrong with it technically, and my characters are rich, and the plot's good, and there's surprises, and the story itself is strong, don't worry about the comedy.
And can I ask you a question just relating to your agent?
Sure.
Yes. So do you self-publish some of your books?
Yes, I do.
So I self-publish. What role does your agent play in that?
Well, he had a lot to do with the write a novel in 10 minutes a day situation, because he did negotiate the deal. He did all the paperwork. When I have questions, I go through him, and he does some of the communication. But he also has got a lot of hybrid authors with his agent, with his agency, and so he really feels like it's important to train writers to have a long-term view. He's big on teaching us and training us to be organized, to look at different marketing options, because so many of us are doing both. Traditional publishing and self-publishing or independent publishing. He has annual marketing seminars that we get to go to, and he brings in experts to teach us about marketing ideas, or
that's nice.
Because he knows that the role of the author has changed. It used to be that authors were just authors, and the publishing company had handled all the marketing, and that's not the case. And he has his stories he tells. He's been in the business for 30 years, and he has stories that tells about what has changed, and and how shocking it is what used to be even 10 or 15 years ago, and how now what you need to expect if you sign a dotted line, but what that means for you, how creative you can be in your marketing. And that was why I created my group on Facebook. It's called 10 Minute Novelist. I wanted a community around this book. And I didn't even know that many writers. And so I just emailed my writer friends and say, "Hey, if I start a group, will you be a part of it?" And they said yes, because they like me. And then now we're 1,200 writers worldwide.
That's
and we have 3 chats a week, and we encourage each other. We do not do sales of any kind on our page. It's a big rule. You're not there to self-promote. You're there to build up community. And we have different days of the week have different tasks. Like, what's today? Today was Friday. Today was New Member Day. So everybody who was new in the last week got welcomed. And then Monday we're going to have a chat, and it's also blog day. So you get to post your blog post.
I was going to say, so anyone can join?
Anyone can join. It says 10 Minute Novelist, but we're not restricting it to novelists. If you go on Facebook and you do a search, the number 10 Minute Novelist group. And if you're there, I will let you in. And you say, "Hey, I want to be part of the group." You're in.
Everyone.
And join. We have a lot of members from Australia and New Zealand, which is awkward when you're scheduling times for the chats.
Yes,
I have to say.
But
we try the best we can. We can't stop the earth from turning. My powers only go so far. So
what I want to know
in my group
is, I'm looking at the frequently asked questions for the group on 10minutenovelist.com. And you've got, can I post a picture of my cat? Now, how often do you get that question that it needs to be in a frequently asked questions section?
I have to tell you, I cheated a little bit.
All right.
Because I do know that writers, generally speaking, are cat lovers.
Yes.
And so we have to, sometimes they're enthusiastic cat lovers. most of the time. And so I'm not an animal lover. And I know it seems inconsistent with the writer thing. It's because I have allergies.
I was about to say, if anybody, if your writing's not flowing, if it's not working, maybe you need to look at getting a cat.
I've thought about this, and then I've thought about, weighing it heavily against my desire to breathe. And deciding that I have to go with the breath. So, no.
Yes, but you
cat.
you do have pets. You've got 5 kids.
It's exactly right.
Right.
Nope. Exactly right.
But they're just not as soft.
Rubbish.
No, they're not. And, they do talk. And this is the thing. The children grow up, and they take themselves to the toilet.
Well,
my cat takes herself to the toilet last time I checked.
And someday they'll return the favor of the whole diapering business.
I don't know.
A pet will never do. And so
That's true. But I've covered my bases. I have 2 children, so I have
that's
exactly
right. That's exactly right.
That's interesting, though, about the pets, though, about cats. It does seem that most writers do have a cat. I don't know why. I've got one.
See, I don't know what it is. And if maybe I need to reconsider this, because if you have wear lots of black, smoke, never leave the house, drink lots of whiskey, and have cat hair all over your body, and probably have a questionable personal hygiene regime.
I don't have questions.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying, statistically speaking, you might be in better shape to be a writer. I don't know. We have to do some research on this. Maybe you guys can.
Writers don't have good personal hygiene. Okay, so I may not wear a bra all the time.
Really? Why aren't we doing video right now?
Because we don't want to scare the listeners.
That's right. So that's my theory.
I know Dion's probably got the worst feet.
About the not bra wearing too. So cats don't judge you. Maybe that's what I like about my cat.
Maybe that's it. So anyway, I shouldn't say more. There's some cat lovers and I want to get them angry and say bad things about my book. It's just an unfair stereotype, So
That's awesome.
So I'm a non-pet owning mother of 5 children, and I wear other colors than black, and sometimes I leave the house. So, and I don't smoke. And so there you go.
I don't think not many people smoke these days, do they?
No.
Enough, though. But I think now, Catherine, you've just destroyed your perfect record for your reviews. You wait. You're going to get a couple of 1-star reviews now. Okay.
It used to be devastating. And I've got a couple on my romance that my romance is an exaggeration. It's an exaggeration. It's supposed to be unusual. It's supposed to be a little quirky. That's the point.
Well, some people.
And some people took it just way too seriously. And
that happened with my fantasy novel. There was humour in my fantasy novel, and some readers didn't get it, and they hated it because of it.
Yeah, I mean, and what can you do? You just get into the screen and slap them around and say, "Hey, lighten up!"
Exactly.
You just can't. It's part of the badge. You've got to get some not so fair reviews to be legitimate, and so that happens.
I think the important thing is if you love your work, who cares what anyone else thinks, really?
Right. You love your work, and if you're going to put it in front of the public, then you make it excellent. Yes.
Oh.
So,
I'm trying to find.
Do the very best you can with it. If it's for public viewing, do your best to respect your art and respect your reader and respect yourself, and make it as excellent as you can.
Listen to the lady; she knows what she's talking about.
So, here's a challenge for anyone that wants to read Catherine's romance book called Falling for Your Madness. There's only one-star review, which I'm going to read out right now. No, don't please. Oh, come on.
Don't, because, ruin my weekend. That's okay.
Have you read it? Have you seen this one-star review?
I have, yeah, and it was kind of upsetting, so.
Oh, really?
Anyway, yeah,
Damien's probably thinking it's silly.
Oh, well, if you want to think it's silly, that's fine. I'll just stick my fingers in my ear and go, la, la, la.
I think it is very silly.
Go ahead.
So the title of their comment said, "Too weird."
Yes, well, there you go.
Said, "Bizarre. Stopped reading. Could not hold my interest. This guy is just too weird." Has he been on the internet?
Right, exactly.
So this is why I like reading them outright. So you've got a lot, 75 reviews that are all in the positive between 3 and 5 stars, right? That's a good even spread.
Which is friggin' awesome.
And then you get one nutter who just does not get it. I am surprised they didn't say, this book was crap because it didn't talk about computers. Like, it's just so random.
Yes, exactly.
How can it be too weird? There's no such thing as too weird.
That's the point. It's an exaggeration. The story, if you'll let me tell the story, is I wanted to write a story about a man whose character was so attractive that no woman could say no to him.
Oh, well, that's like me.
And well, that's not weird. That's probably men.
Well,
like that.
okay. Well, and in a woman's point of view, that character would be very gentlemanly, respectful, and courteous.
No.
And romantic, and so then in my mind almost instantly, it was over the course of a weekend where it just kind of, and I got it, and I saw this guy. His name is David Bowles. He's 6'3". He's kind of thin. Bowles, Bowles, and
not as in balls, as in my balls.
That would be a very David Bowles is attractive to women. I'm sorry.
Anyway. No, not like the game. No, I don't know how I got the last name, but I did. And so he's an English professor at Boston College. It takes place in Boston. I lived in Boston for 15 years, and so it takes place in Boston College. He's an English professor. He always wears woolen tweed year round. He has a fake British accent, impeccably mannered to the point of obsessed with chivalry. Okay, and how he wants relationships to go. And he meets Laura at a party. And Laura, the way I wrote Laura, I put it in first person. It's from her point of view. She has no physical description. You don't know anything about her appearance. Because I wanted all the women who are reading this book to think that they are Laura. And so that's kind of my goal. So Laura, he approaches Laura. They meet. He says, "Can I take you home?" He has a big black Crown Victoria, and he has a driver. And they go home. He takes her home, and they're talking, and she's really falling for him because he's interesting, and he quotes poetry in the car. And so, poetry.
Yeah, see, that's a massive exaggeration, but it's quite nice.
Well, now we're getting to that part. And so then he suggests that they meet again, and then he suggests, I would like to make an arrangement with you. Then I meet you from Monday for tea, Wednesday for lunch, and Friday for dinner as friends. And we're friends, but we're not moving to sweethearts until you say so. I'm never going to bring it up. I'm never going to go to your apartment. I'm never going to call you. This is the extent of where we're going to see each other. I'm never going to touch you. We're just going to sit at these. Yes, it is weird. It's 3 times a week. Okay. And then but he's the perfect gentleman. He brings her flowers. He quotes more poetry. So after about 2 weeks, she starts feeling she's attracted to him. And so I don't want to go too far into the story, but then she finds out why he has these very strict rules. And
there's a reason.
Has to decide, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I am going to say that it's an exaggeration.
I've worked it out.
It's a fantasy.
So he's a transgender, isn't he?
No.
Oh. And just to destroy it for any future readers, can you envision that your main character was it David? He looks like John Cleese. Anyway.
No. When he's older, he will.
Oh,
I always pictured him as Benedict Cumberbatch, but that's just me.
Yeah, so I don't get the Benedict Cumberbatch thing. Yes. He's too quirky for me. Like, the look of him is just really out there.
Yeah. So anyway, she figures out what it is. It's weird. It is weird. I have to tell you. There's nothing like this. His reasons. And so it has a lot to do with England. That's all I'm going to say.
I'd have to say, if someone was quoting poetry to me, though, as sweet as it is, and as much as I love literary things, I would just kind of go, it's a bit daggy for me.
Yeah.
I would have to walk the other way.
Speaking of which, I heard a cool poem on the radio. I don't know why this was on the radio, but it was Mary had a little lamb that she kept in a bucket, and when she got bored, she'd like to take it out and let the dog play with it.
What? That's terrible.
It's terrible. I don't know why that
poem in 10 minutes a day.
Exactly. Anyway. Now we're going to move on to a couple of other things. Give us the ultimate newbie tip for those newbies that want to try this out.
Newbie tip. Okay. Yes, this is it. Just write. Don't worry about social media. Don't worry about building your platform. Don't read too many blogs. Just write.
Except read
and
your blog.
Yeah, just write. Sit down and practice writing every day.
Cool. And where can people find all of your stuff out on the internet?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. You can go to Amazon.com. You will see, well, let's see, in Australia, I'm sure you have your version of it.
We do.
So, like, Amazon.au. And so, write a novel.
Computers a year ago.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I don't
I'm
know.
joking.
I don't know. Taking advantage of the American. It's an international incident.
I'm even on Amazon US. You can sign up to them from Australia too, but we do have an Amazon AU as well.
Okay, well, I don't know these things because I'm egocentric and I don't know. So,
It's okay, you're American. We forgive you.
anyway, so you go to, it's on Amazon. So Write a Novel in 10 Minutes a Day is available in paperback and in Kindle. And Falling for Madness is also available paperback, and the Kindle version is 99 cents.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
What?
And then in August, I'm finishing another.
I'm running out of power.
What?
I'm just joking. You know, we've got to pedal bicycles to make our electricity.
Okay, that's right. I was going to ask you, which of you has the scariest animal as a pet? That's all I want to know.
The cat.
The cat.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's kind of boring. I thought you had like a shark or a cool kangaroo that hit people or something.
Speaking of kangaroos, there was another very silly thing I heard. There's been a study of scientists watched kangaroos for 1,000 hours. Right? Someone is having a rort at the uni. I don't know why we're paying for this, but they worked out that kangaroos are left-handed.
Ah, that explains it.
I know.
I'm left-handed. I'm left-handed.
Yeah, but you're not a kangaroo. And you didn't have a scientist looking at you for hours on end going...
You don't have the video hooked up. You don't know this for sure. I'm just going to say that.
True. I'm tempted now. I won't destroy your credibility to post up on the show notes just a picture of a kangaroo and put Catherine Grubb underneath.
And I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do you actually, to Catherine, sorry, do you do talks and everything or not?
I do. I do talks. In fact,
have you got any coming up that you can tell the readers?
No, I wish I did. I wish I could say what. I just finished one locally. So I had a local one at the library I used to take my children to. And this, oh man, writers need to do this. If you've got a book out, your local library should be your best friend because they want local people to come in and do stuff for them. So I went to the library branch that I took my children to every week for 13 years. And I walked in with my new book, and we all loved me. And they're like, "What are you doing here? Look how big the kids have grown and everything." And I just said, "Hey, I just put out a book." And it was not a matter of me asking, "Can we arrange an event?" They just said, "We want to get you in. How can we do this?" And so I had it last Monday night. And
awesome.
I'm not a big shot, and I live in Massachusetts. There's probably more writers in Massachusetts than all of the other states in the union combined, and so I'm not that special in Massachusetts. And so, but I came in, and there were 18 people there, and there were some that I didn't even know. So that's even better. And so I gave my talk, and I basically told the same story I told you guys, and I had a great time, and I had my books for sale. And maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe I was just on the speaking rush, but I felt like people ran to the stage to sign my books, buy them.
That's
and sign them.
Awesome.
So it was a great experience, and it was with my teenage daughters, and they were a great help. And we had a lot of fun on the drive because it was an hour away from where we are now, and it was just a great evening. And I'm like, I'm doing this again. So I've been contacting local people, like local libraries, and this is the thing. The worst they can tell you is no.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you call them and you say, "I have this thing and I want to speak about this. What can we work it out? What can I do to help you and your patrons?" Do it that way. Don't say, "What can you do for me?" Say, "What can I do for you?" And then they may say, "Well, nothing. Thanks." And I go, "Okay." And you go to the next one.
No, that's when you say, "Do you know who I am?" Anyway.
Don't you know who I am? Surely
I was on a podcast in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, this is going out to the whole world.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh.
I'm international.
Now, we've got a couple of things we need to do. Please stick around for them.
Okay.
We'll do a prompt. Now, I think the the regular Catherine. I think she's phoned this prompt in.
Okay.
It says, write for 10 minutes. Well, that's what the whole show's about. About anything or about nothing. What can you accomplish in 10 minutes? Find the one sentence in that 10-minute writes that makes sense. Use that as the next idea for another 10 minutes of writing.
Can I just say, I hope if you're writing for 10 minutes that more than one of your sentences make sense. If it doesn't, you have a lot of work to do, and maybe you should reconsider being an author.
Oh, look at that disclaimer.
No, I have to respectfully disagree. Because in the first 10 minutes, this is a free, you're in the creative mode. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about grammar. You're looking for golden nuggets. And that might be a phrase, not a sentence. That might be the right noun. That might be an idea that's sparking. No one's going to see that. So it could be sloppy.
Well,
who cares?
Not to be sloppy, but
But if it's going to be in the public, it better shine, is all I'm going to say. But you've got a lot, there's a big journey between the original spewing of ideas in your 10 minutes to the nice, polished, happy product you put on Kindle for your friends.
Surely it can be sloppy, but I mean, surely it's understandable.
Yes,
Well,
it's all part of the process.
Speaking of nuggets, gold nuggets, let's do a tortured sentence.
Next time, don't put the wrong emphasis on the right syllable. Tortured sentences.
So I was sent that soundbite from Catherine. That was the background noise when she was writing for 10 minutes, when her kids were going mental. Now, this one came from a promotional letter to the Washington Weekly. From the Washington Weekly, I don't know. It says, Dear fellow resident, Washington is a city that only cares about one thing. Sex, money, power, and politics. So...
Someone can't count.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing they can't count in Washington, clearly. So, all right. Now, we'll do a word of the week. Word of the week, this one came from Arlene Miller from her bigwords101.com. And this week's word is verbomania, which means a craze for words. I think some nutcase just made that word up somehow. Craze for verbomania. You wouldn't even use that anywhere other than on this show.
I wouldn't use it, but somebody might.
Somebody might.
Somebody
A
might.
verbomaniac might use it.
Oh, God. Maybe that can be in the next romantic book. David can go.
Verbomaniac.
He can become a verbomaniac.
Oh, I like that. That's great.
Anyway. Now, Catherine, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, good question. Well, let's see. Yes, I want to shout out to my Australian members of my group, and Rebecca Laffer-Smith, and Roseanne Dingley, and people that I'm going to forget. So I don't know, because I've met some very charming writers in Australia, and I'm really happy to have met them over the last year in my group. So I want to shout out to them. I don't know if they're going to be. I know you go out worldwide, but I just thought I'd shout out to them. Because,
from a collective from the fellow Australian group, we would like to say, cheers, mate. Okay.
G'day.
G'day.
Isn't it g'day?
G'day, cobber.
But yeah, Catherine's book sounds like a great idea, especially if you're at the point where you're a little bit confused and you don't know how to move forward. And go and join her Facebook group.
Yes.
Because you'll get lots of support.
Yes,
And that's
thank
what you
you.
need.
And I have my website is www.10minutenovelist.com.
There you go. It'll all be on the show notes.
There you go.
Dion,
Go and check it out, everyone.
Dion, it's your turn.
Oh, it's
Shout
my
out.
turn.
Yeah, shout
I'd like
outs.
to shout out to my cat, Lily. Thank you for always being on my lap. I really appreciate it.
You've got a Siamese cat, don't you? Or a hairless cat or something strange.
No, it's a Siamese.
Oh,
It's
right.
got hair.
Oh, right.
I'm allergic to it, but it doesn't matter. See, this is how much I love my cat. I've still got her even though I'm allergic. But anyway.
Anyway. And Booktastic.
Oh, Booktastic. Yes, we have some awesome book deals on there. Today and every day, it's getting really busy on Booktastic, and we only feature books that have been edited. We don't care how many reviews you've had, because I believe some good books have no reviews and some shitty books have lots of good reviews. So, yes, I vet them all for editing. So you may not enjoy the story, but you will enjoy the editing.
Gosh,
Nothing like a good edit in front of a fire.
what a great, what a
If you're a reader, sign up for free and choose the genres you want, and we will send you quality reads that are on sale.
That's booktastic.com with a K.
With a K at the end, yes. Booktastic with a K.
Right. Have to come up with a bumper sticker for that. All
Yes.
right.
And Damien, have you got anyone you'd like to shout out to?
The lady with the... Actually, yes, there is. I would like to shout out to my apprentice who gave me such a cool idea for a character yesterday. He saw... Oh, this is going to sound terrible. We were driving back...
Surprise.
But we were driving between jobs and we saw a disabled person and he goes, "Oh my God, that's the time wizard." And I looked at him, I said, hang on, time wizard? He's like, yeah, he gets on my bus every morning. He talks to everyone. He's got 4 watches on his wrist, on both arms. And he's obsessed with the time. And
That's incredible.
he believes he's some sort of time wizard. And I looked at him
awesome.
and went, "That is amazing. I need to steal that." So thanks, Nathan.
Yes. That is awesome. Maybe
Nathan.
Nathan should consider a writing career.
Oh, well, maybe. I'll put it to him. But, yeah, and I said to him, "Do you talk to him?" He goes, "Oh, occasionally. But he's a strange one. He's a bit weird." So I was starting to ask him questions. Like, how did he become the time wizard? It'd be
That's so
interesting.
cute. I love it.
So shout out to the time wizard and Nathan. As for next week, I have no idea who's on. I'll have to check the list. Probably no one. Whatever.
Oh, well, if there is someone on, they're going to be very offended that you just called them no one.
Yeah, I don't read the list. You know that. Anyway, so until next week, we may see you then.
And it was lovely to meet you, Catherine.
Well, thank you. It was really a lot of fun to be with you. Good luck with everything.
All right. We'll see
You too.
Your book starts here on the Newbie Writers Podcast.